the first part of my way too early college football predictions. Today, we'll just be going over some schools that are historically terrible at football and really just college sports in general. But obviously, the focus of the video is football. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the 2026 schedule and predict their record based on the teams that they are playing. And I think in this video, we're going to go from what I think will have the worst record in comparison to the best. Obviously, I think we're only talking about 7 schools in this video, but let's just start. Starting out with Georgia State, who I think will only go 1-11, just like they did this year, where they beat their FCS opponent and then they lost to every single FBS opponent. And well, the Sun Belt is, I would argue, one of the higher tier G6 schools. I don't think they're as good as the American or likely the new Pac-12, but Georgia State is just really, really bad, and they've been bad for a while, and I don't see them improving much this year at all. I do think they'll still be able to beat their FCS opponent, but I think they'll lose all of their conference play games. They'll likely lose to NIU, UCF, and Kennesaw State, as none of them are really all that terrible, to be perfectly honest. So I think Georgia State's just going to be absolutely fried, and it's just going to be another bad season for them. I feel bad for Georgia State fans, as their football team is just really bad. They're just all bad. And another team that I think is going to go 1-11 is UTEP. UTEP is making the move to the Mountain West, so that does make their schedule a lot harder than it has been in previous years, as they were a part of Conference USA. And even their out-of-conference games are Oklahoma, Michigan, and Oregon State, who are all pretty decent, at least, especially Oklahoma and Michigan, who are just straight up good. So this is going to be another year where UTEP gets absolutely fried. They did go 2-10 last year, being their FCS opponent and one other that I don't remember. But this year, I don't think their schedule is weak enough to where they're going to be able to beat an FBS opponent. I think they will beat their FCS opponent, but then they're just going to lose all their FBS games, as UTEP, in my opinion, is by far the worst team in the Mountain West. And so then they're just going to get absolutely fried by their entire schedule. UMass at 2-10. It's crazy. It might be crazy to you for me to predict a team that last year went 0-12 to go 2-10. And if you actually notice, they're playing 2 FCS opponents. Out of their 3 out-of-conference games, 2 of them are FCS, which I think for UMass makes sense because they sucked last year. They lost to their FCS opponent. So I don't even blame them for scheduling 2 FCS opponents. Like, normally I'd fry like a team for being like, you're so lame that you schedule 2 FCS opponents, but UMass kind of needs it. Let's be honest. They've just been horrible, and I think 2 wins will definitely increase morale in the Massachusetts program. They're still not going to be an FBS opponent. They just aren't, and they're playing one power opponent too. They're playing Rutgers, so I think that UMass will still be able to beat their 2 FCS opponents, and they'll lose every single other FBS game. I mean, you probably notice a trend by now that like a lot of these historically terrible teams are going to lose to every other team in the FBS because they're historically terrible. That's just the kind of thing that happens. Anywho, now we're going to go to a team that is definitely going to be worse than they were last year. Ball State. Ball State is going to beat their FCS opponent, as I'm predicting for basically every team. And I do think they're going to beat UMass. I think that Ball State's bad, but they're not UMass bad. I think they're going to beat UMass, but then they're going to lose every single game in conference play. They're going to lose to Ohio State. They're going to lose to Bowling Green. Or sorry, not Bowling Green. Northwestern. And then they're going to lose to Liberty. Like, I don't think they're not winning any of their out-of-conference games, and they're losing a majority of their conference games. Ball State is just not looking good. Like, they managed to go 4-8 last year, I believe. This year, I'm not even confident they can do that. I think they'll only go 2-10. Ball State, another fried program. It's just GG's. Middle Tennessee, I think, is also having a similar situation where they're not very good, and they are going to beat their FCS opponent, in my opinion. And then they're also going to beat Sam Houston, because Sam Houston is also terrible, terrible program. But I think they're going to lose a vast majority of their conference games also. And I think they're going to lose all of their out of conference games except for the FCS. So, Middle Tennessee, again, historically terrible. They're likely losing a majority of their Conference USA games. And losing in Conference USA just means you're just bad. It's honestly impressive when teams in Conference USA manage to do so poorly, because it's like you're in arguably the worst conference and you still are bad in that conference. Like, come on. It's honestly a little bit sad in some of these cases. Sacramento State is definitely more interesting to talk about because they're going to be new to the FBS this year. And I do think that they're going to be better than UMass and Ball State. So they are going to take a couple of conference wins, a couple of FBS wins, going 3-9 on the season. As I do think they will beat their FCS opponent as well. However, their out of conference games, I think they're going to be out of luck. I don't think they're going to win those. And I'd say most of conference play, they're not going to do too great. I think it would be 2-6 in conference play, losing to Bowling Green, Ohio, Kent State, Toledo, and Central Michigan, and Eastern Michigan as well. So I think, yeah, it's just unfortunate. Sacramento State, I didn't have super high hopes for, but I do think they're going to get at least 3 wins on the board. Now to talk about a football program that's actually decent, Delaware. They went 6-6 last year. The only reason I put them in like historically terrible is because of how they do in like basketball and baseball, because they're terrible there. But honestly, I think a 6-6 Delaware is likely to happen again. Looking at their schedule, they have their FCS opponent, they have Coastal, they have Middle Tennessee, Missouri State, FIU, and New Mexico State. I think Delaware is surprisingly decent, and I think they will do decent enough to where they will go 6-6. If you look at all their losses, it's Vanderbilt and Virginia, which are Power 4 programs, Liberty, who's historically just really, really good. Same with Western Kentucky and Kennesaw and Jacksonville State. As they, I think they're going to lose to basically all the Conference USA powerhouses, and then obviously any Power 4 school, and then they'll beat everybody else. Like anybody who's not historically really, really good in Conference USA, they're just not going to win. But I think Delaware has another shot of going 6-6, and I think it'd be really cool to see, especially with how recently they came up to the FBS. That's going to be it for this video. I plan on making several more parts on this topic, and hope you guys enjoy. See you guys next time.